Good evening, dear participants of the webinar. Today, the Bishkek Business Innovation Centre is conducting a webinar in partnership with Syed, Abrar Ahmed, CEO of Liber Health. My name is Elnura Maskanova. I'm communication and event specialist at Bishkek Center and the moderator of the webinar. Today, we will talk about social entrepreneurship and its role in IT, or in other words, symbiosis between these two trending sectors. Before we will start our event, I would like to pay attention to the rule of engagement. First of all, please make sure that you switch off your microphones. Except speakers. Please enter your name and surname, and you see that webinar is recording. The video recording of the webinar will be sent to all registered people of the webinar. And Q&A session, question and answer session, we are expecting right after the speaker's presentation. It means you can send your question to our chat box, and I will roll out later to Abrar right after your presentation, Abrar. Or you can switch on your microphone and ask your question directly to our speaker. So we are starting then, and the first part of the event is intended to brief information about Bishkek. This presentation will be interesting for those people who visit us for the first time or never heard about Bishkek, what Bishkek is doing in Kyrgyz market. And the presentation will be delivered by our director of Bishkek Business Innovation Centre, Iskender Sharsheyev. Iskender, please.
Okay, please make me the co-host, please, for possibility to share the presentation.
Done. Yeah, we can see your presentation, Iskender.
Nice. Thank you. Good evening, dear guests. Nice to see you, Abrar. Let me say a couple words about the Bishkek, who we are and what we are doing in the Kyrgyz market. Bishkek is the Business Innovation Center. Our project under the implementation by the DAI Global and under the funding of UK. And who we are the place there you can meet as a startup owner, the incubation and acceleration programs, mentors and experienced advisors, and of course the trainings, seminars, webinars like this. You can find the information how to make the networking and find the contact in the other countries. We have partners in the 160 countries, and it's an electronic platform, web-based platform by which you can find the world-class content, information, last information, how to improve your business, how to make your business scalable. And of course, we are building the investors network in the Central Asia and in other countries, and mostly in our country, to help business people, startup owners, to find investing or to find information how to go to international markets. So we're operating in the Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, our Bishkek operating in the Bishkek city, of course. If I will touch the common results of our Kyrgyzstan activity. Kyrgyzstan is a huge organization. Here we have 20 team members, and of course 3 offices. We have 1 office in the Osh, 1 office in the Bishkek, 1/3 office in the Karakol cities. And Kyrgyzstan's common results is this: new jobs created by our participants, our graduates. It's number close to 300, and 74 of our graduates, of course, percent. It's demonstrated a significant increase of their knowledge, and showing us the growing of revenue. And of course, the common the graduates number for today, it's over than 200. And these other programs, we Bishkek also Kyrgyzstan launched more programs than Bishkek, but Bishkek launched and provided 9 programs and we're preparing the 10th program. And all who interested to have to take the part in the acceleration or incubation of Peak Bishkek, please track us by our social pages. And we can say that our Business Innovation Center making some steps to give the value to the help of vulnerable groups. Women-led businesses is 66% of all our graduates. And we're making the webinars and of course, international and local big events. These events you can see all these things, all this news and events description in our website. So 33 of our graduates got the mentorship support, and our graduates demonstrates the good improving of their businesses. And last pandemic and world crises, all these things shows us it's not a big problem if you have a good knowledge how to fight with it. So these our team members of Peak Bishkek. It's only 3, but you need to understand that our common team consists of close to 20 team members. It's our website, it's our social page. Please subscribe, please track us, find us in these channels. And I think you can find something interesting for you if you are a business owner, a startup owner, or thinking about make the business in Kyrgyzstan or worldwide. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Iskender. Also, I would like to add that you can also can be our business mentor or business advisor, and you will find some more information in our website, and you can apply for this program, and we will add you in our database as a mentor. So let me introduce then our today's speaker, Syed Abrar Ahmed. Thank you for joining us today for your webinar. I would like to take this opportunity and thank the American Chamber of Commerce, especially Mr. Azamat, who advised us, Mr. Abrar. Syed Abrar Ahmed awarded Outstanding Entrepreneur from Emerging Economies. He is Global Good Fund Fellow 2021, which identifies high potential leaders and accelerates their success and supports global social entrepreneurs. Also, Abrar is graduate entrepreneur from Bridge of Billions Network Program. So Abrar, stage is yours, please.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Amazing work you're doing. Love the energy. I am going to just dive into this. Open the presentation, start sharing the screen. All right, so today we are going to be talking about social entrepreneurship. Specifically, we are first going to talk about me, obviously. Why should I be the one to tell you about social entrepreneurship? What gives me the right to talk about it? And then we'll be able to jump into what exactly is social entrepreneurship, and then the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which are very, very closely linked to the social entrepreneurship. And then I will give you some examples of the startups and organizations and people I know personally who have been working for social impact and social change. And then I will talk about my journey as an entrepreneur. Why did I start on this journey? What compelled me? Why did I get so crazy about creating this kind of global impact? And then what kind of opportunities you may have at your disposal going forward, like a few organizations who promote social entrepreneurship specifically, because it's really, very rare to find organizations who are less focused on creating a profit on your startup, like making revenue, and more on the social impact. getting a revenue is great. It's what drives the startup, sustains the organization. But if you're not creating a positive impact, or in my opinion, if you're not making people's lives better, it's just a way to keep yourself alive, like moving forward. That's it. You're not making any positive impact in the world. So that's just my thinking. And we can talk about this in the Q&A also. So who am I? So I am a social entrepreneur, first and foremost. I am an advocate for health equity, patient empowerment, patient safety. I talk a lot about blockchain and artificial intelligence and information technology. Let me be clear, I do not talk about cryptos and tokens and NFTs. I don't like them, to me personally, and I know it may sound, it may piss some people off, but I do not think they are very, very useful in the grand scheme of things. Blockchain itself, in its very, very foundational form, is very powerful, especially in the healthcare industry. But when you add things like cryptocurrency and tokens and reward systems, it creates more problems and more abstraction for people to learn, more things for people to adapt to, so that they can use the technology, use the platform. So like it was said before, I was awarded the Outstanding Entrepreneur at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in 2019. I won the US Department of State Business Incubation. I was part of the business incubation program. I also won a few other programs along the way. I am currently a Global Good Fund Fellow and an alumni, becoming an alumni soon. I have also completed the Bridge for Billions. I was awarded there as well. And to these encounters, I've amassed knowledge not from my country, but also from US and from Latin American countries. I'm also part of the Startup Chile program in South America and in Europe and Middle East. So I have a lot of flavor what goes on in these different ecosystems and how they operate. So diving into, let's just get this textbook definition out of the way. So social entrepreneurship is basically any kind of work done by any kind of organization which addresses any kind of social issues. And these could be anything. And I will dive into that more deeply. Conversely, a social entrepreneur is a person who explores business opportunities to create those positive impact in the world. So it doesn't have to be a for-profit. It can be a hybrid system, like for-profit and non-profit combined, and it can be purely non-profit. So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to have a set business model like, yeah, this is what we are going to do, and this is how we are going to make money from our startups or our companies or our organizations. You can also have a element of making money, making revenue, because that will keep you going in the long run. But at the core, at the center of your ethos, of your motto, it should be about creating a positive impact in people's lives. So these are the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm sure many of you have already heard about this. These are laid down by the United Nations, and according, and their goal is to have these goals achieved by the end of 2050. So these are 17 different goals. These include, like, number one, no poverty, bringing people out of poverty and giving them a sustainable lifestyle. Zero hunger, providing people food, good health and well-being, creating accessible healthcare for people, education, gender equality for both men and women, clean water, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth. And you will begin to see the overlapping aspects of these sustainable development goals. For example, if you provide decent work and economic growth and work towards that, you're also indirectly affecting the no poverty. You're bringing people out of poverty and giving them a healthy lifestyle. Then we have industry and innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, and these can be very different than gender equality. These can be inequalities in anything, rich or poor, access to facilities which are only available to rich people and not poor people, or any other kind of discriminatory populations. Sustainable cities and communities. This is also overlaps with good health and clean water, responsible consumption and production. This entails recycling and climate change, and you will see climate change number 13. Life below water, safeguarding the sea life, like the protecting the whales and the aquatic life on land. This will be talking about the animals and wildlife and the forest. That also overlaps with the climate change. And then we have peace, justice, and strong institutions, like having judicial systems which are competent. And then to connect all of them, if you're working on anything which basically creates more cohesion between these goals, you have the partnership for goals, like creating partnerships to achieve the previous goals. So what we basically tell, in other words, is that, okay, if you're working on any of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, you are in effect a social entrepreneur, and your enterprise is called a social enterprise. So I'm going to run through these examples, and I picked them because I know them personally and I know the people behind the team. AROSIA is tackling the problem of clean water supply. They have created a ATM machine and installed them in villages around India, and they basically allow people to pay using the cash or their mobile application and get drinking water, clean drinking water from those ATMs and take them home. So it's a great concept. So let's do this. If we go back, so this startup, this company, this organization is tackling the problem of clean water. They're providing clean water and sanitization. This is the sustainable development goal for them, main goal for them. But at the same time, they're also tackling industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And at the same time, they're also tackling sustainable cities and communities, because they're providing something that is sustainable to these people. And they're also tackling the problem of the goal of good health and well-being, because they're providing clean water in places where clean water is not available. They have water which is poisoned, it has arsenic, it has fluorides. So you don't have to have a fixed SDG in mind. Your innovation can also tackle multiple SDGs, multiple goals, and that's good. Another startup is Her Ground, which is making women health more accessible. It provides women with the menstrual products discreetly at their door. It allows them to be independent so that they don't have to go and buy them. It's a monthly subscription. They provide the package to their homes on a monthly basis. They're also now working on biodegradable products for women's health. Now, going back, number one, they're solving the problem of good health and well-being. That's their main goal. then they're going after the gender equality, like not having periods limit the any women's ability to achieve what they want to achieve. Okay, and then they're also working on the responsible consumption and productions, like creating recyclable products, and then also working on climate action, so that these kind of products, when they go into the landfill, they don't get they get decomposed easily. Next up, we have VOICEITT. VOICEITT is quite interesting. It is very interesting to see how they're using technology like speech recognition and machine learning to allow people with different abilities be able to share their thoughts, be able to communicate with people. And I loved what you're doing. They're from Israel. They're also part of the Global Good Fund. And when I learned about them and I saw what their platform could do, I'm like, yeah, this is how IT, how technology should be used for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And I am going to show a quick video because it's very inspiring for me to see this. When I first saw this, and I'm gonna play this. This is like 1 minute long. It shouldn't take too long.
I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. My mom says it's too dangerous, but I think it's only dangerous if there's a fire. I was born 12 weeks before my expected birth date. Is 1.9 pounds heavy or light? I want to speak, but the words remain inside me. People just don't understand me. My name is Ray. I'm 5 years old. And tomorrow, I will start speaking freely.
I love you.
So if you paid attention to what was happening, the machine learning algorithm, the AI in the application learns the patterns, about how the person speaks and how they are, what their speech pattern is, and then uses that pattern to train itself to recognize their speech and understand what they're saying. So if this child says, I love you, in their speech pattern, it recognizes it and then basically makes it easier for other people to understand that. That is very powerful, especially with people, especially for people with cerebral palsy, like this kid here who cannot communicate, who need constant attention and constant help from other people to even do mundane tasks like opening the door or turning off the television or turning on the lights and stuff like that. They have connected with Alexa and other smart home devices, which allows people to do these kind of things without any kind of assistance. So that was very powerful. I love that. Next up, start playing again. Sorry about that. So why did I jump into social entrepreneurship? So my story began in 2016. I feel like most people who dive into social entrepreneurship do it because of any kind of personal tragedy or personal injustice they have witnessed in their own lives. And it's true for all the above previously mentioned examples. I'm not going to share their stories because it's theirs and they have, it's better that they tell you if they can later on. But I'm going to share my story. In 2015, my brother was diagnosed with liver cancer. And it was during his treatments when we realized how difficult it is to send health information to and from hospitals. Many times he would take him to the hospital in an emergency, and the doctors would not be able to treat him because they had no idea what drugs were already in his system, what kind of medications were already being given to him. And many times when he was in a critical condition and they could not wait for his medical records, they ended up overdosing him on certain drugs. These ill-informed actions resulted in damaging his liver even further, which eventually shut down completely. And turns out my brother is not the only one. Patient misidentifications and lack of health data contributes to 2.6 million deaths each year around the world, which is why correctly identifying patients is the #1 priority for both the Joint Commission International and WHO's patient safety goals. And the problem does not just end here. And the problem, this is worse for underserved communities, especially for elderly, pregnant, chronic, and comorbid patients. So just to give you a example, chronic patients are patients who have a disease or a disease which comes back over a period of time. So for example, if someone has cancer and it's they get it operated, they get chemotherapy, and it's completely gone, it is a possibility that it comes back down the line 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years even. They can have cancer again. So those kind of illnesses are chronic diseases. Comorbid diseases are people who have multiple diseases at the same time. For example, diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure. These kind of conditions can occur in a person at the same time. So patient identification also creates second victims. This means that it not only affects a patient, but also the people around them, their family members. It traumatizes them. It traumatizes the doctors. When a doctor loses a patient, it very negatively affects their ability to perform. And the COVID crisis has made this exponentially worse, and the problem is getting worse every day. So to solve this problem, we propose two things. First, we need to be able to identify people instantly and reliably in any kind of situation, using their face and eyes, just like we as humans identify each other when we meet someone. Secondly, we need to create a trusted network among these organizations so that they can share information securely and easily, like the patient medical records, their prescriptions, their imaging, their x-rays, those kind of things. So what we ended up doing is we built a platform which is powered by blockchain and biometrics, which allows organizations to scan eyes, like from these kind of devices. These are internationally standard devices which capture iris scans, and it allows them to identify the patients and then transfer their medical records from one organization to another. So we create digital identity for every person using their eyes, and then allow them to share information. The entire platform is built on international standards like HL7, FHIR, and HIPAA. HL7 is health level 7, FHIR is fast health interoperable resource, and HIPAA is the Privacy Act, which tells you how the information is going to be secured. And the best part is the platform does not secure biometric data to ensure privacy, unlike other platforms. So since that is out of the way, I am going to share more information about the opportunities which are available to you. So #1 is an organization called Global Innovation Through Science and Technology, also known as GIST. It's funded by the US Department of State. It empowers science and technology innovators, especially from emerging economies like the Central Asian countries, the South Asian countries, and they have a massive impact on the people. I have received a lot of not just recognition, but also funding by participating in their pitch competitions. I would highly recommend you check out their website and keep an eye out on GIST Catalyst and GIST Tech Eye pitch competitions. They have great prizes, and if you do not win, that doesn't matter. You will also get the opportunity to get your innovation in front of people, like the global audience, the investors who are interested in these kinds of innovations. So definitely check them out. Another one is the Global Good Fund. I am a Global Good Fund Fellow. I was a Global Good Fund Fellow in 2021. I'm now the alumni. Sorry about that. So the Global Good Fund identifies high potential leaders and accelerates their growth through a year-long process. So in the first half, in the first 6 months, they will pair you with a executive coach who will work with you and identify your shortcomings as a leader. And then in the next 6 months, you will be paired with a mentor who will help you fix those problems. Like if you have problems with communication, you would be able to work with the mentor to work on your communication skills. At the same time, they also provide $10,000 to the fellows to be able to get additional help or use that capital to buy, I don't know, you can do courses online, you can do legal activities for your startups, like hiring a lawyer and stuff like that to keep things maintained. So definitely check out the website, keep an eye on next fellowship round. I think the current one has closed. They have selected the fellows for 2022. Next one is going to open in August or September, if I remember correctly. So that's it from my end. If you have any questions, do give me a shout. I am here. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, here's my LinkedIn profile. Again, I talk about health equity, patient safety, empowerment, blockchain, and a bunch of other stuff related to IT. Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Abrar, for the interesting presentation. Yeah, it will be really useful, especially in that part where you are telling about the organization, acceleration organization program for startups and entrepreneurs. I guess we also can share this information with our alumni, peak alumni.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, dear participants of the webinar, Bakit, Birmet, Erkinbek, I see you. Who is Birmet? Birmet want to ask a question. Birmet, please, stage is yours.
Hello, Abrar. Thank you so much for your presentation today. It was very informative. I have a question about, you mentioned that any organization can do some social entrepreneurship, but can you actually differentiate to us difference between corporate social responsibility that is done by the organizations and social entrepreneurship? That's my first question. And the second question is, I teach myself social entrepreneurship here in one of the local universities in Bishkek. And how would you actually, what kind of suggestions or tips, let's say, would you give me to inspire my students to look into more of agriculture parts or medicine, not necessarily into I am just trying to find a way how I can actually inspire and motivate my students to look more into agriculture and health care system in Kyrgyzstan, but I am struggling to find the correct path. So if you could share with some tips, that will be amazing too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I will definitely try my best. So the first question about the CSR, corporate social responsibility and social entrepreneurship, it's a blurry line. You see big organizations doing CSR, and I'm going to be controversial here, and you can, and I'm going to get yelled at it from someone, I'm sure. It feels to me like most of these organizations who do it is to get some kind of tax rebate for any kind of activity. So CSR, they do CSR activities to get any kind of reduction in their tax payments. But there are also organizations who do CSR because it's built into their ethos, like it's at the center of their as they're working. Those kind of organizations are more towards social entrepreneurship. If you build something up, build something from ground up, and which is talking about, or which is catered towards social entrepreneurship from the get-go, that organization to me is like pure social entrepreneurship. CSR is like a blurry line, and many organizations I have seen, many startups who do social entrepreneurship leverage the CSR model of other organizations to fund their activities, to get funding from them. So for example, there is a startup which makes games for children with autism. They were funded by Samsung through their CSR product, and Samsung doesn't do that kind of stuff. Like I can say at that time, when I was following them, maybe they do it now. But at that time, they don't do that stuff like social entrepreneurship, but they did it through that startup. So does that make sense? Like it's a blurry line, but in my opinion, I wouldn't call them like social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship is like you have it and you're passionate about making that change on your own, rather than spending money, leftover money, to make that change, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Secondly, yeah, go on.
Could you please share with that information that Samsung actually sponsored or actually shared or funded from their CSR budget, the autism? What was that? Was it like for technology that they used? I mean,
it was for the technology. I'm not sure I can say their name right now on the platform, but I know them personally. And these are not just one. There are many organizations who are funded by CSR funds from either Samsung or Microsoft or other organizations.
That's terrific. Is it like, can you share with your email address so I can ask you also in person?
Sure.
I know I'll Google them out, but I think it will take maybe a longer time, links after links.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and also, Bermet, we can share our email and link to the LinkedIn page, account with the video recording, and send to your email later. Thank you to you, Bermet.
Bermet had a second question too, and I realized that. Sounding by the way you asked the question, that it's very important to you to motivate your students with respects to entrepreneurship in medicine and agriculture. For me personally, I would say it's the stories that move the people emotionally. Like if you dig up stories about how agriculture is helping social entrepreneurship in agriculture is helping people in Indonesia or Malaysia or Vietnam. And there are a few stories I have come across. I cannot recall them right now. And you show it to them that, okay, this was made possible because of social entrepreneurship. A startup created a mobile application through which the farmers were able to sell their crops and get paid at equal wages, like fair wages, rather than getting ripped off by the market. And their lives were changed. They were able to get out of poverty. They were able to send their kids to school. Those kind of stories create impact, create motivation, create emotion in the people and the students, so that they can go forward and do something about it. But at the end of the day, it's very, very dependent on the person. It's very subjective. So for example, for me, health tech is very close to my heart because I have a personal tragedy behind it, a personal story behind it. Other people have other stories. And if they feel comfortable not approaching agriculture, but rather doing something in the sustainable energy or forest or climate change, they're going to be more focused towards that. So you have to gauge what your students are more into, and just give them different flavors of entrepreneurship, different success stories, different scenarios. Whatever clicks with them, they're going to be attracted to that part of the social entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for very interesting questions, Bermet. Okay, the next question will come from Erkinbek, I guess. Yeah, Erkinbek. No? Okay, then question from me, Abrar.
Sure.
Yeah, for Kyrgyzstan, for our local markets, the social entrepreneurship is very comparatively new new terminology, yeah? And can you tell us what is difference between the regular business and social entrepreneurship?
Oh, for that, I would have to, let's back up a bit. Let's just first identify entrepreneurship, startups, and a conventional business. So entrepreneurship is just a new name for starting a business. People have been starting businesses and doing their own work, being their own bosses for a long time. Entrepreneurship came up on the scene very recently. It's just a new wrapper or the hip or the, you can say, the buzzword for creating businesses. That's just it. That's it. Startups, on the other hand, are basically businesses who do not have a product market fit at that time. Right? They have a product, they do not know what product, and they know that it solves a problem, but they have not applied it to a market to see if it actually solves the problem or if it is needed by people on a larger scale. So that is a startup. Social entrepreneurship is like a business. I mean, it is a business, but at the same time, your core is to create positive impact. And like I said, it does not have to be for-profit business. It can be non-profit or even a hybrid system, like where you provide your products to some countries or some communities which can afford it at the price which you want to sell it at, and you also provide your product to the needy organizations, needy communities, and people who actually want it and cannot afford it. So those kind of organizations are hybrid systems. So that, for me, I would say that it's the main difference between normal entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, is that social entrepreneurship is focused on creating revenue first and everything else later. Social entrepreneurship is focused on creating social impact first, making people's lives better first, and then thinking about the profit and the revenue part. I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you answered. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Ekmek, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Abrar, for excellent presentation. I enjoyed presentation, and thank you for sharing from examples from different countries. So my question just related to previous, like you all maybe partially you answered already, but I'm wondering that are there cases where the traditional, like as you mentioned, conventional business became like later or integrated or became totally social? Are there cases like or integrated in their model, the social entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm.
First, they started like as ordinary business model, like as you said, conventional, and then later they turned to that, or at least like integrated. Are there cases? Do you know that case? That's kind of, if you know, it would be great if you share it.
So that is a fair phenomena. Phenomena that happens because as like even Nike does that sometimes. If I remember the case study, and there are others as well. I'm just forgetting right now. Sorry, I'm fasting, so my memory right now is not that great. I'm just thinking about food right now, so sorry. But to be honest, organizations which started with the convention model, for example, Nike in the case, they started with the convention model. Then as things progressed, you see millennials and you see the new generation more focused towards the other side, towards creating a positive impact in the world, making a global impact. This has made the organizations think about their footprint, how they conduct their processes, and you would be hearing about terms like carbon negative or carbon zero processes. Like our products are made with zero footprint, zero carbon footprint. What that basically means is they are doing something in return for whatever they're using from the raw materials gathered from the nature. So for example, in Nike's case, if they're using wood or cutting down trees, they're also planting trees or doing other stuff to basically make their carbon footprint negative or zero. So those kind of things are happening, and these organizations are moving towards that because the people's opinion matter. If you're not doing you're not doing something to help the environment, your brand is going to go down in the eyes of the newer generation, because that's what they care about right now. Does that make sense? It's just about the perception, how people see these organizations, and these organizations have to pivot, change themselves to cater to that new market.
Thank you, Abrar. I got it. I'm sorry that it's the fasting that when you mentioned about fasting, I was eating and I felt not good. So I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Thank you. Take care.
Question. So, Anor, yes, you have a question, please.
Yeah. So sorry. Maybe it would be the last question. But thank you for the presentation. And I have just one question related to the surviving point. Yeah, I mean, for example, for regular business, it's almost all it's also very difficult to survive. Yeah, maybe only one business from among the 10 businesses can survive. Yeah, and imagine if we take social entrepreneurship who are focusing not on the profit, but on social development, etc., etc. So how should be the strategy or structure of the social entrepreneurship built or created in order to survive, actually?
Yeah, for that I would say there are many aspects to actually doing this. Number one, you should be starting small. If you have, for example, in my case, I have the biometric system in place. For me to be able to take it to the hospital, and in a big hospital like Aga Khan or any other big chain hospital, I would go there and I'm probably going to get shut down immediately because I do not have previous experience running this in any kind of settings. So you need to start small, like small clinics. In 2020, I was in Kenya and I was talking to this lady from the clinic, and she was telling me that a woman came in And this happens a lot. A woman came in, she's in labor, she's pregnant, she is going to give birth. She says that she's had her previous child here, and they can see the scar, the C-section scar on her belly. And now they don't know which is their medical file. Like they have like a room full of medical records, files over files of the person, of the patients, but they cannot find the medical records of that one patient in that short amount of time. So she says to me, and this is verbatim, she says to me, Abrar, baby, if you can just give us the medical file number of that patient, it will save her life and make our lives easier. So I got thinking about it. I don't have to connect my system to an electronic medical record or at a hospital. It can just be a standalone solution for these hospitals just to get their medical records. And it can be cheap. It can be connected to a phone. Think in those terms. If your innovation connects to a lot of organizations, a lot of pieces, make it smaller, do a pilot run it and see how it performs, and then take that data to the investor, to the VCs, and go to these social ventures, people who invest in social enterprises, those kind of startups. And you can find this information on PitchBook, Crunchbase, these kind of online resources. See them, see the previous investments they have made, and contact them that I have this innovation, and I can, and this is the data I have collected. And they would be happy, very happy, to invest in you so that you can grow from there. And then from that point, it becomes easier to a point where you have enough runway to make a business plan and then move forward from there. That is one way to actually doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Anar, for the question. So your subject is interesting not for our guests, but for ourselves too, Abrar, for my colleague too. So I guess Iskender has a question.
Yes, I have one question, Abrar. We have the strange situation in our country. For example, we have the information that law, by this law, if you are the organization which have as a founders and as a 50% of staff, the vulnerable groups, it means that your organization could not pay the tax. And in one case, it's a good because it's giving for vulnerable groups a good possibility to make the business, and of course it's a good support. But we have another detail that we have risks in the country that if we will give in the law some tax helps, I think advantage to companies which making the social entrepreneurship, then all companies in the country will be social entrepreneurs, will be will make some changes in their accounting and became the social entrepreneurship, social enterprises. And that's why it's a high risk, and it is a problem, really a problem. Our government afraid to give the social advantage for companies for which making the social responsibility acts. That's why, how do you think, what solution could be in this situation? How we can solve it? I don't think that we need to say about it as government authorities, but maybe international experience will be useful for thinking about how to implement social
no, I understand that. I understand that these kind of policies are like a double-edged sword. basically. They are helpful to an extent, but at the same time they're also harmful to the economy, because then you, like you said, everyone would be trying to evade taxes and not want to pay them by hiring people or showing that they have enough people that they satisfy the eligibility or the criteria for not paying taxes. To that end, I would first ask the question, does the government has any kind of check and balance in place for these kind of organizations? If they're getting tax rebates, is there any kind of auditing done for these organizations by a third party, which basically goes in and checks what they are saying is actually true or not? So that would be the first question. Second question, if there is not, then I would say that this has to be in place, like some kind of auditing or some kind of question answer, that the organizations have to provide proof that they actually have those kind of people. But even in that case, that can be forged, that can be easily provided. To work around that, I don't know how bad the situation of corruption is in Kyrgyzstan. It's really bad in Pakistan, because I know people will find a way around this and try to use it to their advantage. But if it's not a problem in Kyrgyzstan, then there should be check and balance in place before giving tax rebate to any organization, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Iskender. Thank you, dear guests, participants, colleagues, for the question. If anyone has a question, we are ready to accept the last question today. Bakır, Birmet, Erkinbek, we're waiting for you. If no question, we will conclude today's webinar. Yeah, Abrar, I would like to thank you for a great webinar. Subject is really interesting and useful and helpful. Thanks to the entrepreneurs like you, the green economy and the economy itself will grow year by year, especially in our country, because you are promoting this type of business, with social component. And today, I personally learned that social enterprises or entrepreneurs, first of all, need to the emotional component, because only emotion push us to make decision or find a solution. So I would like to give a stage to my colleague, Iskender, please.
Thank you, Abrar, for the useful information, this useful webinar for our Peak Bishkek. I think our business community and our guests will use this information in their work and in the development of social entrepreneurship in Kyrgyz Republic. So very nice to see you, very nice to be introduced with you. And of course, thank you for Vice President of American Chamber of Commerce who recommended you. And thank you for your time. And I hope that we will find good ways of cooperation in our nearest future. Stay in touch. And thank you for your contribution, Abrar.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. If anyone has any questions, I'm also available on LinkedIn. Connect with me. I keep sharing information about other opportunities as well, and my own journey across this platform. And I would love to answer any questions if you have any over there as well. All right, take care.
Yeah, thank you, Abrar. Yes, we will send the video recording of the webinar, I guess, next week. And with the video recording, we'll share with you the email and link to the LinkedIn account of Abrar, so you can contact with him directly, and ask your question. Okay, Abrar, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.